The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we'll start as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys of the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast, to Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey. Thank you all for the continued support. It really means the world to me. It really does. Especially when I start getting all down and mopey about how, me and my tens of loyal listeners all should be running things because we're so much smarter and so much better than everybody else. But, here we are all just being our average schmoes going through day to day. Meanwhile, the Kardashians still fucking exist. And I wanted to give a special thank you to Bruce, and I know it says the guys from the Weathered Report, but it's Bruce. I made a smart-ass remark last week on the morning, the Weathered View, which is Bruce's daily morning show on X, when it was the 1st of August on this past Friday. I was like, I had the last word, and I was like, yeah, go to my website, buy shit off my Amazon wish list. It's my birthday month, I'm going to be a basic white bitch. It's my birthday month. Celebrate me. Now, anybody that knows me or has even really been listening to the show for a while, because I've talked about this in the past, knows I don't give a shit about my birthday. I can't stand people who say it's my birthday month. You don't get an entire month to celebrate the day you were popped out of your mom. That's just, whatever. If that's how you want to live your life, great, whatever. Get your validation however you need it, homie. But me personally, I've never been a fan of that concept. It actually kind of irritates me when people say that shit. Like, I'm so special, I need to be celebrated for 30 straight days. 8 times out of 10, it's, nah, bitch, you need a job, a steady relationship, and somebody to raise your 9 bastard kids. Not that I'm saying that's the case with everybody who does this birthday month bullshit, but that is the way I feel about it in general. And I actually did a whole episode on birthday month being a fucking retarded concept that irritated me. But I was feeling some kind of way. I was just in a mood to make smart-ass remarks. And I said, it's my birthday month. Everybody celebrate me. Go buy shit from my Amazon wish list. And kind of to my chagrin, Bruce actually did. He got me a couple of things, and I really appreciate it. And again, I want to say thank you. Part of the things, and my Amazon wish list is basically a joke. I'm not saying this because I'm like trying to steer traffic to it or anything else. I'm trying to show gratitude to Bruce being a solid dude. He's a good friend. I appreciate him. And but realistically, when I built an Amazon wish list, I did it very tongue-in-cheek. I did it as something where, because when back in the 2020s, back in the old days, I can't believe it's been to the point where we're coming up on the anniversary of this show, because I started it in August of 2020. And we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary. It's like, where the hell did the fucking time go? But at the time, a lot of these, when the podcast boom of the great COVID era, where a lot of shows, I've never taken this show as like a serious effort to try and make a go of it. Like, I'm going to get a huge following. I'm going to change the world. As I've said repeatedly, I do this for me and for the people that actually like listening to it, that reach out to me, the people I interact with almost daily on social media that I consider my friends, even though we've never met face to face. Even though we have done video conferencing with a lot of these people. And, I'm talking to you guys right now, but when I set this show up, like I said, a lot of the emerging podcasts and the podcast boom of the great days of COVID when nobody could leave the fucking house, and this is how we all reacted by saying this is how we're going to normalize life, and this is how we're going to interact with each other is through these shows. It was a thing. A lot of social media people, and to a greater degree, TikTok and fucking YouTube people, social media presence, people who actually try to take it seriously, try to make a living out of the shit. They all had in their Amazon wish lists. Buy me gifts, give me money, open your wallets and your hearts. Show me you care about me by giving me money. I imagine, I don't know, I've never actually logged into an OnlyFans page, but I imagine the OnlyFans thoughts have gift lists too, or you can buy them shit too. Buy me underwear that I'll take you a picture of and send you the picture. Maybe I'll send you the used underwear. I don't know. I don't know how these broads do things. Whatever, get your bag, girl. I'm not judging you. But so basically, I set up my Amazon wish list mostly being a smartass. I mean, there were a few minor things on there that I didn't think were unreasonable. Like on the off chance somebody actually wanted to buy me something off of this Amazon wish list. Now, this list has existed for like 3.5 years, and I've never given it much thought. I actually had to go through and update it after Bruce bought something off of it because I realized that like there was shit on there that was been discontinued. There was shit on there where it just wasn't funny anymore to me, because that's what the whole list was initially. Was, like I said, a few random things in case somebody actually did get it in their head they wanted to be nice to me, and a bunch of shit that I was like, it's really expensive, it's ridiculous, it's not something that anybody in their right mind would buy for some random asshole on the internet because they think he's funny or they think he's saying something that needs to be heard. And I'm not saying that I've never gotten anything from you guys in terms of like, I've gotten from my dear buddy Russ. I got this Rodecaster that I'm talking into that's going to be getting a lot more manipulation here because, as I've discussed, I'm getting ready to take the show further along. Again, just because I want to. It's not like I'm expecting anything to really change by these things. I'm not expecting some massive boom in audience or anything like that. Some miracle is going to just give me extended reach, and all of a sudden I'm going to start impacting the world in a positive way other than how I already reach it with you guys. But at one point I had a Rodecaster on there because, there's several $100s, and I could not afford or justify that with my idea of a hobby, particularly not when I was doing this from a position of being laid off, which I was when I made the list. I was, fully unemployed. Like, I got up every morning to check into the app for the company I was working for because I was furloughed, not actually laid off. And that was the condition of me maintaining a furloughed status. So I had to make sure there was no work for me in the area. And at the time, the idea of spending that kind of money on something for the show was just outlandish. And then, I had a Shure microphone on there that was like $600 because it's one of the really nice mics that all those professional podcasters use and all the friggin', live streamers that make six figures every fucking month or whatever it is. I mean, seriously, some of these online personalities make ridiculous amounts of money for, and I don't begrudge them that. They figured out how the system worked. They figured out that's what they wanted to do. They committed to it. They took a gamble. They had success. More power to them. If you're making $20,000 a month or $90,000 a month or $100,000 a month, whether it's streaming or doing a podcast or whatever, more power to you. Congratulations on being successful. I'm glad it worked out for you. Me, I was not in a position where I could take that shot where I could commit a whole lot of time to it, but honestly, I never took it seriously when I had bottomless time. And now that I no longer have bottomless time, it's, now I have more resources, but I don't have the time to mess with it as much as I would like. And it would require walking away from my job and putting myself into a much worse position to like commit full time. But and again, I'm babbling. I'm getting off the point. Point is, this Amazon wish list had lots of expensive shit on it because it made me laugh. That's really what it boiled down to. And I'm reworking it now, and I'm still putting things on there that make me laugh and things that are really outlandish and shit that I think is kind of expensive. Now there's a few little other things on there that are not expensive. And there will be more other little geedunks and knickknacks on there that are not expensive. Again, but it's always going to be something that is going to make me laugh or I think is funny. Or in the particular instance, I did put something on there that's actually kind of practical. Again, I'm not asking anybody to buy me anything. I just want you guys to, in case you get curious from me babbling about this shit and you go take a look. I did put some stuff on there for a 3D printer, filament and stuff like that. That is like one of the more practical things that's on there. That I don't expect anybody to buy me, but in case anybody's wondering what the logic behind that is and how it ties into the podcast, I have decided, because I do have a 3D printer, I have not used it up until recently here. It's actually running at the moment because I didn't have anywhere to set it up. I didn't have any space for it. And now that I have the office set up close, and it's still not how I want it. I have some plans. A few people are in the know on what I'm thinking, but at the end of the day, what's going to be changing is now I have space. Now I have room to work with. Now I have things I can start implementing, the things I actually want to do to make some changes. And I decided one of the things I was going to do is I'm going to make and print some stuff on my 3D printer that I'm going to give away as prizes to listeners of the show or to friends of the show, people that I think deserve them. And I've talked about this jokingly multiple times, but I'm literally going to do it where I'm going to print out a jar of fucks. It's going to be my fucks to give, and I'm going to give them to a listener of the show as soon as they're done. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to determine who gets my jar of fucks to give, but somebody's going to get a jar of fucks from Aaron, so they can say, Aaron gave a fuck about me enough to give me some fucks to give. And then when you run out of fucks, you can say, I am out of fucks. I have no more fucks left to give. And I will think about it, and I will smile. First time, actually, like I said, the 3D printer is running right now. It's not actually printing fucks right now. I'm running a test print just to make sure everything's working properly because, like I said, it's been sitting on a shelf for 3 years, and I'm not 100% sure that, I'm 90% sure nothing happened to it, and it was just taking up space and gathering dust, but we'll know for sure once it runs through this test cycle. But yeah, in case anybody's wondering, that's why the PLA filaments are on there, just because I was like, well, if somebody does decide they want to buy me something, there should at least be something on there that's not $190 or whatever. It's that's kind of where we're at. Anyway, that's not the. I can't believe I just spent a good solid 9 minutes talking about this shit. But again, so a very heartfelt thank you to Bruce for buying me stuff off of my Amazon wish list. I never expected it. Thank you to everyone who's ever given from their whether it's through a subscription or through their generosity of sending me something. I appreciate it all. It all means something, and thank you very much. So anyway, that's enough of the emotional shit. Let's get to what you guys are here for, and that's Aaron Bitchy Ranty. And believe me, I've got some things that are percolating in the back of my mind right now that I'm going to vent about, and you guys can listen, and you can tell me you loved it, you can tell me you hate it. Or you can be like Bruce, and you can tell me you loved it after I tell you it's an episode that I wasn't too particularly happy with, because that seems to be actually, it's not just Bruce, that's a lot of you guys. It seems like the less content I am with these things when I put them out, the better received they are. So maybe that just should tell me something. I don't know what the fuck I'm actually doing, and I should just lean into the stuff that feels awkward and wrong. But anyway, one of the things I've been looking at that's been going on this past week and leading into Monday, which is, again, you guys are getting one of these last-minute, late-night. Aaron sat down to record some shit because over the weekend he was just tied up doing other things. Again, I digress. Too much behind the backstory. Not enough ranty. So one of the things that's going on, and it came out today that Keir Starmer, the PM of the UK, that guy, absolutely just abhorrent state that country has gotten into. Over the weekend, it kind of came out, and it wasn't just him, but it came up a couple of times because Trump was in the UK last week, and basically there was a couple of different instances that came up where the UK and the EU are both trying to say that they have free speech, and Keir Starmer, when a reporter asked Trump a question about free speech, and kind of was like, Starmer felt the need to chime in because he was at this press conference with Trump and not getting any attention at all. He's like, we've had free speech for a very long time. And it's like, no, they don't. The UK is literally becoming a fascist state. It's been going on for a while now. It's been getting progressively worse. The left, the suicidal empathy, the retards on the left, however you want to look at it, whichever one of my abusive ways of discussing these people that you want to, whichever term makes you the happiest. And it's been exemplified writ large in the UK, where you can be arrested for something you post on Facebook if it goes against something you want to say. There was a woman who was arrested when she named the names of her Muslim attackers because it was culturally insensitive, and she was arrested. Not them. She got more time for, disclosing their identities than they got for actually sexually assaulting her. So this is where they're saying, okay, oh, well, no, we're still a free speech country, and we're still important, and we're still relevant. And it's like, I've been saying it for quite a while now, that the UK is going to become the next Islamic caliphate. It's at the point where there are towns in the UK where they have calls to prayer 5 times a day in the streets. British people are treated as second-class citizens in the country they were born in, to appease these fucking, non-native, non-assimilating, it's an invasion. It really is. Maybe it's a cool invasion because it's not actively hostile, but they're being welcomed in by the government. They're supplanting the domestically born individuals, the native-born individuals, and they're replacing them. And Starmer came out today, and it was a joke, but he's like, we need to secure the borders to stop incentivize. And it's like, they need secure borders. They need to stop all the deaths at sea from all these third world migrants trying to come to the UK. And it's like, well, they're not actually doing anything to disincentivize the travel. They're still giving them, free places to live, free money to eat, money to live on the taxpayer dime. Meanwhile, if you're white and you say anything about it, you're a bad person and you go to prison. Now, they could stop all this, senseless, unchecked immigration simply by de-incentivizing it by saying, no, if you come here, you're going to work, you're going to contribute, or you're going to fuck off. Because a lot of these guys, they're making very public statements that they have no intention of doing it. There was one guy who was a Muslim who was being interviewed, and he said he's not going to work because he shouldn't have to. The government pays to support his family and friends, and if they threaten to take it away from him, that could be bad for the government. And it's like, this is the mentality. This is why I say I don't have a problem with immigration. I don't have a problem with people that want to better their circumstances, better their lives. What I have a problem with is people who come from countries that their quality of life is lower, their standards are held different, and then they expect the countries they migrate to, because their quality of life there is better, the potential for gainful life is better, and they expect these countries that they're going to adapt to their needs, their desires, and their beliefs instead of adapting to the place they're moving to. Now, I've said it before how, like I said, I have nothing against Islamic people that just want to coexist, just want to get along. However, that is not a religious doctrine that particularly embraces that attitude. And it's not that I'm Islamophobic, it's that I'm a realist. It's that I've actually read the fucking religious texts that go along with that faith, and I know what they say. And people say, oh, well, that's up for interpretation, and that's this, and that's that. Yeah, well, when you have to look at how it's being applied around the world, many places all around the world, Islamic populations get there, they get to a certain percentage of the population, they start demanding acknowledgement of Sharia law, and then they start openly saying that Sharia law is superior to whatever laws of man exist, and that's what they expect the rest of the world to live by, and they will not stop until it's in place around the world. That's not assimilation. That's not moving to a better place to live a better life. That's taking your shitty third world ideals and spreading them around and then turning the rest of the world into a shitty third world state. That's just how I feel about it. And Keir Starmer running his yap trying to say that the British citizens have anything resembling free speech or any kind of real rights at all, when it truly has become a fascist state where they will tax you and throw you in prison for anything resembling freedom of speech. The only thing I can really say about the British that gives me any hope or faith at all is that they still have the Blade Runners. Every time they try and put up the cameras for monitoring vehicle traffic and for taxing people for driving on the roads and for not having permits for this and that. I mean, these are motherfuckers that pay a license to have a television in their home. Don't tell me you're a free people when that's the kind of shit you have to endure. But I digress. And I'm not saying this just in case you're unclear on the concept. It's not paying for television service. It's paying the government for the right to have a television in your fucking home. It's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, but they have the Blade Runners there. The guys that are going around with power tools, cutting down traffic cams and monitoring cameras and ticket cameras all around the country. And those guys give you hope. And And if you're unfamiliar with the group, you can just Google it. There's all kinds of footage. Other guys, memes from, oh, look here, what a shame. This is how, don't do this. This is how you would, if you do this, this will destroy the camera and they'll have to take it down and it'll cost this much. Oh, by the way, did you know there's 15 pounds of copper inside every one of these, LBAS or whatever the hell the abbreviation for it is, cameras. It'd be a shame if someone told the local tweakers how much copper was in these cameras and, things like that, and ways to destroy parking meters and just general shenanigans and tomfoolery that is the core of civil disobedience, because I firmly believe when laws become unjust, it is the duty of the free man to disobey those fucking laws and to actively work against them. So, and it's that'll tell you really whether or not you're living in a fascist state, is if they tell you saying something against their control is illegal. Not necessarily acting out against it, but I'm saying if they say talking about how you're getting a raw deal is going to land you in jail, then it's time to start acting about it, because otherwise you deserve what's coming to you. And I'm saying that as somebody who's constantly complaining about how everybody in the U.S. just lays down and has allowed the government to become bloated and fucking worthless and tyrannical. I mean, seriously, the founding fathers would have been stacking bodies decades ago, and the fact that we've allowed it to get to this point just says way more about us than it does about the parasites who took advantage of the situation to enable themselves to go into that place. But again, not to stray from my original train of thought too far, so while we're still talking about the UK, then you go over to Ireland, and the Irish are thoroughly fed up with the politicians that are welcoming in the third world into their nation. And I've said this before, I'll say it again, because it still seems relevant, even though it's still gently simmering right now from what I can tell. I haven't seen a lot of news of anything really outlandish going on. But, the Irish, if nothing else, how they dealt with the English should be a good example to people. When you piss the Irish off, you're better off to have remote start on your car. I'm just saying. The Irish don't fuck around. After you push them to a certain point, they push back. And when they push back, Jesus fucking Christ, do they push. I'm surprised we haven't seen more, fires in predominantly third world imported neighborhoods right now. I'm surprised we haven't seen more acts of violence. There was a recent protest where it was a massive Irish mob walking around saying, who the fuck is Muhammad? Who the fuck is Allah? Ireland is a Christian nation, which, it wasn't always a Christian nation, but it's been a Christian nation for a hell of a lot longer than it's been a Muslim one, and they don't really show any inclination to, be real happy about changing with the native population. The native population, whether it be the Catholics or the Protestants, it doesn't matter what side of that you're on. They unite real quick when there's a third party to be angry at. And that's the thing. I mean, during the Troubles, during the conflict, when you had the Loyalists and you had the Separatists and you had all these factions that were warring internally, as soon as they decide and agree upon, oh no, this external threat is the enemy, they unify, and then you have two sets of really angry motherfuckers that are really, really good at causing chaos and blowing shit up. They're not an enemy you want to make. I mean, and I love my Irish people. I love my Irish friends. I love the Irish in general. But yeah, good Lord, that's not these fucking clowns. I mean, it's like they've forgotten all the lessons of history, where a lot of the Crusades and things like that happened. And the thing about the Crusades is a lot of people want to talk about how that's toxic Christianity and blah 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 blah. If you look at it on a historical timeline, the Christian Crusades were originally a reactionary action based upon Islamic incursion into traditionally Christian areas. I mean, and again, I'm not ignoring the precedents that religions have been used as tools of dominion and conquering and violence throughout history. They always are. None of them are indigenous religions, no matter what particular bolt of cloth your faith is cut from. If you're looking at things purely from a reality standpoint, every religion on the planet is guilty of it to some extent or another, except for maybe Buddhism. I don't recall any stories of super aggro Buddhists out there, like, trying to take over the world. But pretty much every religion out there at some point or another has had a holy war, had a pogrom or whatever against other groups that didn't agree with them. Back to when we were killing each other with rocks and sticks. And you were talking to the wrong tree and getting your instructions from eating the wrong mushrooms, so obviously we had to club you with our rocks and sticks until you saw the right light, or else we replaced you completely. So it's not like this is anything new. And it's been going on back and forth throughout history. And it is what it is. That every time, like I said, it's one of those things where it's every time I think we've gotten involved to the point where something should be better, the world reminds me that no, the fuck we haven't. We're just doing the same shit with different toys now. But anyway, yeah, so the UK's fallen, as goes the UK, so goes the EU, for the most part, except for like Poland and Croatia. And a couple of places that are like, yeah, we don't want your third worlders, fuck you, keep them. Those places still seem to be remaining pretty safe and pretty secure. Go figure. It's kind of funny how secure borders work like that. Now, speaking of secure borders, we're going to come back to the United States and some of what's been going on here in the last week. I'm still very disappointed in a lot of things about this administration. I was disappointed with the big beautiful bill because, as everyone that's listened to the show more than once knows, I do not approve of omnibus budget approaches. I do not approve of reckless government spending. The fact that they increased the debt ceiling, the fact that they are spending Biden-era levels of money out of this fucking bill. I mean, yeah, okay, well, we secured the border, but we got rid of USAID, but somehow we're still running at a deficit of trillions of dollars. That's not a good look. It's not a good flex. And literally nobody can point to one specific thing and to say where any representative stands on any fucking issue because of everything's lumped in together into one big stupid fucking bill. And it's dumb, and I hate it. And we still haven't gotten anything about Epstein. Now the rumor mill has Ghislaine Maxwell getting moved. Well, actually, it's not a rumor mill. She's been moved to a lower security prison. Apparently, she's cutting some kind of deal with the White House to name names. The left is immediately saying this is because Trump's bribing her to make sure his name stays out of her mouth. And the left is still stumping out there, release the files, release the files, release the files, despite the fact that every single one of these yammering political fucks had 4 years under the Biden administration to be screaming for the files to be released when it was their party in control and their voice might have actually had some fucking relevance. And it was fucking crickets out of them. That's one of the things I really hate about these career parasites and the current structure of our federal government and, even state government in a lot of cases is it's all theater. It's all for show. It's all utter fucking hypocritical horse shit. I'm not going to dwell on the Epstein files because, as I've said in the past, they're probably corrupt. They're probably tainted. The information's fucked. But, it doesn't matter. Then the next extraction comes out, and as I mentioned last week, Tulsi comes out and says, we've got all this information showing that Russiagate originated from the White House, and then all of a sudden Cash comes up with a whole bunch of stuff that was in burn bags stored in some office because instead of destroying them, some forward-thinking FBI agent tucked all that information away. So now they have all this documentation and all this stuff that was ordered destroyed. That proves the complacency of the Obama-era White House and the fabrication of the Russian collusion hoax and the Steele dossier and all the other shit that they were doing to try and get Hill Dog elected. And that worthless cankle having fucking soulless cunt didn't get her way, and they hid all the evidence to say they were involved in it, and boo-hoo, boo-hoo, because the reality TV guy won. And so they had to go on a pause until they could get back to their goal of globalism and driving us into the fucking third world shithouse with the rest of the world. So the ruling elites could have a global class of fucking serfs to keep them living in their fancy lifestyles. And so that all comes out. And oh my God, look at this. Collusion. And now they're saying the DOJ has been handed all the information that the DOI had. And they're saying, oh, well, subpoenas are coming and fucking warrants and indictments are coming and blah, blah, blah. And again, Obama's going to claim presidential immunity. Nothing's going to come of it. Hillary and Bill won't see a fucking lick of jail time. Just like I said last week, Bill would probably be the one to give up because, like I said, he looks like he's going to die soon any fucking way. And I guarantee he was on the Lolita Express, so it's, it might be a sacrificial lamb where he doesn't really mind too much because he's had a good run and he's banged a lot of young girls and done a lot of really skeezy shit over the course of his life and, sucked his adrenochrome and eaten his babies, and all of a sudden his soul's gone and he just looks like death walking. He's got that papery thin skin that old people get when they're ready to die. Yeah, Bill might wind up in prison for a few days. Hillary's still sucking the souls out of babies, even though she looks like shit and she's on all kinds of drugs. And information comes out that she was all tranked up. That's why she was having all those weird tremors and shit when they were trying to say she was dehydrated on the campaign. And no, it was because she'd go into apocalyptic rages and they had to keep her tranquilized all the fucking time to keep her manageable because she's a massive fucking cunt. That's what it boils down to. I mean, she's all tranked up because she can't be around people because she's a huge fucking cunt. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at in terms of that. And then it kind of looks like the commie that they're planning on sticking into the mayorship of New York is kind of the leading candidate now at this point. And Bernie Sanders is out there stumping for him because Bernie's a fucking commie too. I mean, he is the definition of what's wrong with the Communist Party. He wants to talk about how the poor are getting fucked over, and he's out there using fucking, 1970s propaganda shit to still try and manipulate people. And there's enough dumb motherfuckers out there, liberal white motherfuckers that are college educated, so they must be better than you and me. Not that I'm not college educated, not that you're not college educated, but we're not brainwashed liberal fucktards. And if you're not college educated and you're listening to the show, that's cool too. I still love you and accept you because you're obviously, I'm a firm believer that college education is no indication of actual fucking intelligence. Particularly the more upper echelon educations people like to claim to have, the less fucking useful and the less critical you appear to be most of the time. Now, I'm not saying this is a hard and fast rule. I'm sure there are exceptions to it. But in general, yeah, no, you're probably a fucktard. So Liz Warren's out there and she's stumping saying, well, the billionaires are afraid of him because he's the future of the progressive socialist movement and democratic socialism. He's the face of it. He's how things should be, and again, out there stumping for this communist bullshit that is antithetical to every value this country was founded upon, which literally is the most tyrannical horseshit fascist bullshit that anyone. I mean, these are the people that are out there screaming that they're anti-fascist, that Trump's a fascist, that Republicans are fascist, that conservatives are fascist, Christians are fascist. Everybody's a fascist except for the motherfuckers calling for actual fucking fascism. If you're out there saying the government should be controlling more aspects of your life, I hate to break this to you, you fucking retard. That is fascism. When the government controls everything you can do, when they control how much fucking cricket paste you're going to get because you've used up your protein allowance for the fucking month, that's fascism. When you have to get off your ass and earn your way in the world, and you can go out there and you can do what you want to do because you can afford to do it because you earned it, that's freedom. If you think differently, you're a fucking retard. I don't know why you're still listening. I hate you. I think bad things should happen to you because you deserve them. I think stupidity should be fucking painful. I'm going to go off on an old school rant here for a few minutes because this has been percolating in the back of my head all fucking day, particularly because I had to deal with some stuff, and it just highlights it. There should be consequences for stupidity. One of the biggest problems that exist in this world today, besides the brainwashing and the self-important smugness of the fucking college-educated leftist retards running this country, is we stopped making stupidity fucking hurt, which allowed stupidity to run rampant and to become much worse in our society. Now, whether that's, and this is not a political issue, this is a social issue. There are plenty of retards on both sides of the political spectrum. There are retards that are centrist, that are fucking morons too. I'm not saying anybody is above being fucking stupid. I'm saying there was a time when the stupid people tended to weed themselves the fuck out of the equation. Because stupidity, particularly when you're talking about like genetics and things like that, stupidity is not like multiplication. You can't take a negative and multiply it by another negative and somehow magically get a positive. When you get a brain-dead, retarded motherfucker that goes out and knocks up another brain-dead, retarded motherfucker, you get really retarded fucking kids. Now, and people are going, well, Aaron, what if, you get a retarded motherfucker and a normal person? No, because, you see, to be around somebody, I mean, granted, I could go off on an hour-long tear about how I feel about social interaction in today's society and how a lot of shit that's going on. And it's, again, without getting out the tinfoil, without getting up on my high horse and trying to talk down to people, a lot of this shit was engineered. There's a reason our cultural, societal existence was steered away from the nuclear family, where it was made weird that dad went to work and mom stayed home and raised the fucking kids. Because when mom's at home raising the kids, that means the state isn't raising your kids. This shit was deliberate. It was engineered. Feminism was a fucking scam that was perpetrated upon an entire generation of people to say, girl, you don't need no man. You can do it on your own. Get out there, get that cake, be a boss bitch, get that money. And then all of a sudden you got a bunch of late 30s, early 40s women that are wondering why no man wants them because they can't have kids anymore. And even though they own our own house and they have a good job and they bring a lot to the table, you know, they, for some reason, nobody's looking at them and they missed the bus because they bought the lie. They bought the narrative. No, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to go out and do that if that's what you want. But if you bought that and you bought that lie and you're wondering why all of a sudden, you know, you've decided you fucked up. But, I mean, biology's a fucking thing. I hate to say it, but it is. Well, actually, I don't hate to say it because it's the truth. I'm not one of those people that feels bad saying things. I mean, I feel bad at the implication. I'm not trying to judge. I feel sorry for women who bought the lie, who jumped on board to the whole we don't need to have any traditional value type things in our lives to be happy and fulfilled and to be satisfied. Now, granted, not everybody fucking does. That is a given. Not everyone needs. I mean, life is not a one size fits all circumstance. You know, you have to look inside. You have to figure out what's going to guide you into being happy. You have to evaluate yourself. Now, the problem is most of us are kept from doing that at a younger age because we're either told by society what should be making us happy, not actually looking into our own, you know, core to find that, or we just want acceptance from our peer group or whatever else. I mean, there are so many fucking factors that tie into how we got to this fucked state where we have, you know, a population that is, our birth rates are in decline, where we have situations where, like I said, we've demonized the idea of the nuclear family. We demonized the idea of a single income household being able to, provide us a decent quality of life. And like I said, I mean, yeah, you can tell me this is a tinfoil hat thing, but realistically, when you're not around to raise your fucking kids and the state's doing it for you, the state tells your kids, they control what your kids are going to be, what your kids are going to be like when they grow up. They decide what is acceptable. They decide what the standards are, what the morals are. And in case you haven't noticed, you can look around you and see the direct results of that because of a generation that bought the lie that, you know, you don't need to be happy doing traditional shit. Now, do you have to? No. But when people, it was actively being pushed as to be fulfilled, you need to be treated equally. You need to be out there being the boss. You need to be out there doing this and doing that, and you need to be fulfilled. You have to do this, and they basically demonized all the things that had kept this, you know, planet rolling for fucking since forever, since the beginning of civilization, since prior to civilization, when we were cavemen unga bungaing and hitting people over the head with a stick when it was to say, "Hey, I like you." Yeah, even back then. You know, these core things of like men go out and hunt, women stay home and feed babies because you're biologically built to take care of kids. You're emotionally built to be more nurturing and giving. I mean, it's statistically proven. Lower testosterone, higher estrogen levels cause these behaviors. You don't believe me? Look at all the low testosterone motherfuckers in our society that behave like traditional women. Look at all the confused motherfuckers that think they were born in the wrong body. They do not have high testosterone levels because I've never seen a high testosterone tranny out there. Actually, I should amend that. I've never seen a male to female high testosterone tranny. I've seen a few female to male transitioners, and they've got plenty of T levels. I mean, I've seen a few out there that are very passing. I've seen a lot that really aren't. They think they are, but no, you look like extremely effeminate men, if men at all. And it doesn't matter how many years of HRT, how much you've chopped off of your body, how many things you've mutilated yourself to try and conform to some idea that somebody put in your head to tell you, because instead of dealing with your mental issues and just developing any sort of self-acceptance, self-love, or core values and core strength of personality and character, you decided it'd be easier to go, no, you know what? I'm in the wrong body and I need to become a lifelong pharmaceutical customer, and I need to... I feel like this is what I am and this is why I'm unhappy. But, you know, the statistics that the cults don't tell you is for the most part, no. When you get the surgeries and you are still miserable because you're miserable, that it's not about, oh well, I was born in the wrong body. It's about self-acceptance. It's about coming to grips with reality. And there are things in the world you just can't change. How you were born and what your plumbing looks like happens to be one of them. Now, I'm a firm believer that a lot of the LGBTQI LMNOP shit is realistically the reason they keep pushing it younger and younger. I mean, it's population control. Like I said, it creates lifelong pharmaceutical customers if they actually go through medical transition. It's a lot easier to manipulate a population that is despondent and full of despair, and when you don't have a strong emotional core, when you don't have a strong personal identity. I mean, whether that be like, hey, I'm a girl and I like girls, or hey, I'm a guy and I like dick. It doesn't mean you were born in the wrong body. It doesn't mean you're actually a girl or you're actually a guy, even though you were born with the opposite parts. It just means you're wired a little different. And rather than teaching people to accept themselves and embrace themselves and love themselves for that, we tell them, oh no, you're born in the wrong body. God fucked up and put you in the wrong system. And but we can change that with surgery and medicines, and then we're going to force society to tell you that you are what you think you are instead of what you actually are. I mean, again, it's a control, it's a manipulation. It's utterly fucking ridiculous. It's a symptom of a greater issue. And again, I'm not trying to bag on people that are out there saying, okay, well, I'm in the wrong body. If you're an adult and you legitimately feel like this is the only thing that's going to help you and help you feel whole and make you feel right, by all means, do it. But know what you're getting into. Do it. Don't do it with this like, oh, well, society's going to have to accept me and tell me I'm a beautiful woman, even though I'm built like a fucking linebacker. I look like fucking Lawrence Taylor in a fucking wig. But now I'm a beautiful woman because I went out and I committed to being on hormones for the rest of my life. I had my dick chopped off and inverted. I had my balls taken, and now I'm a woman. Well, no, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, you still look like fucking Lawrence Taylor in a wig. Reality is reality. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on changing your aesthetic. At the core of who you still are who you are. I mean, you can feel like whoever you are. You can identify as whatever you want. At the end of the day, I really don't fucking care. I, however, feel that it's actually doing a disservice to our society to, instead of saying, maybe we should look and see if there's a deeper rooted reason as to why you feel this way, before we make all these severe life-altering commitments that, at the end of the day, don't change the reality of the matter. You're never going to be a whole natural woman if you're a guy and you get male to female surgery, even if you get bottom surgery, even if you get your junk converted, even if you get, the fake boobs and then get your nose shaved and get your Adam's apple reduced and you're on, feminine hormones for the rest of your fucking life. And you're going to have, your bones are going to deteriorate faster. You're going to feel a lot of long-term pain that you didn't realize because there are not a ton of long-term studies on the side effects of doing this shit to your body, especially not on the side effects of pushing it on children when they're in their developmental phases, which is ridiculously destructive towards how they will grow up and be adults. Not only are you sterilizing them, you are making permanent life-altering decisions at an age where, you really don't even know what you want to be when you fucking grow up. And if you're a female and you want to be a man and you decide you're going to start taking testosterone and you're going to get your forearm skin chopped off to make a big fleshy lump that's going to pass as your dick, it's all aesthetic. It's, you can dye a cow to look like a Dalmatian. Well, that's a bad example because some cows are already black and white. But that's the same thing though. A cow can, you could train a cow to bark. It's still not going to be a fucking dog. And I really, like I said, I don't have anything against people who legitimately feel they need to alter themselves to be their best version of who they are. It's just like, I wish people weren't so cavalier about making the fucking decision. I wish it was, get the counseling first, talk to people, work it out, try and figure out what it is about you that makes you feel like this is the only alternative you have left. Because honestly, this, like I said, this is back to what I started to say. The statistic they don't talk about is a huge portion of people are like, oh, well, I'm suicidal because I haven't been able to transition and the world doesn't understand me and I don't want to live like this. And then they go through this medical transition. They're living with all kinds of pain because none of that shit is easy on your body. None of it's a guarantee of any kind of end result. And then they're still fucking miserable because the issue wasn't their physical fucking body that they had a problem with. The issue is a mental issue. There's some emotional or mental thing that's not being addressed, and altering your body isn't going to address the core, deeper root of it. I mean, like I said, I feel really badly for these people. In as much as I feel bad for any people, I should say that there's a caveat to that. I have a certain disdain for humanity in general, in case you haven't noticed, primarily based upon the fact that we possess a capacity for critical thinking. Now, a huge portion of us don't actually indulge that capacity, but we all possess it to some extent. That's why when I will, like, you know, I'll call stupid inbred retards till Jesus comes back. I will never make fun of someone who has a legitimate physical or mental handicap and somebody that has a legitimate disability. I will beat the brakes off of somebody that's being mean to them because that's something they have no control over. I only fault or judge based on factors that people can control. You can't control what you look like. You can't control, you know, things like speech impediments. I mean, yes, you can get therapy, you can adjust. Believe it or not, I have a stutter. I don't stutter very often anymore, but I do have a stutter. The only time I stutter now is when I'm very close to losing my shit or extremely fucking tired. But yes, so I have a speech impediment. I have a certain degree of sympathy towards people who have a speech impediment. Conversely, I've also been known to refer to people as a stuttering prick when they can't get it out, if they're abusing the privilege of, like, okay. No, you've been saying the same word for 3 fucking minutes. Obviously, you can't say that word. Say something else that is a synonym. Get a thesaurus. Look it up. You know, spit it out, you stuttering fucking prick. It's actually literally something I said to somebody one time because I couldn't take it anymore. I stutter too, but I figured out how to get around it by speaking a little more deliberately, a little slower. And if you can't figure it out on your own, go to fucking speech therapy. It exists. And, you know, some people have legitimate conditions that cause speech impediments, whether you're tongue-tied or you have a cleft palate or a bunch of other things that are out there. Some of them require surgery to fix. Some of them are just issues. Sometimes it's a mental thing. Sometimes there's a short circuitry going where, you know, your synapses misfire and you have a hard time speaking without a snag. God, I'm starting to do it now just because I'm thinking about it too much. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of my whole point is I will never belittle people for things they have no control over. That's why I don't do racism per se. I don't give a fuck what you look like. Now, granted, I will mock stereotypes. I will talk shit about things that are, you know, stereotypical behaviors of certain groups, whether it be based on race or religion or creed or fucking what part of the country you come from. I don't give a shit. If you're a, you know, Mohican fucking redneck, I'm going to crack redneck jokes at you because I'm sorry, I'm Gen X. We used to laugh at each other. We used to tease each other and nobody got butthurt because everybody knew there was no malicious intent behind it. And we could all bust on each other. We could all talk shit. My friend group growing up was pretty fucking, you know, PBS after school special type shit. I mean, I think we had somebody that ticked every box except for a fucking Eskimo. And I've said it all my life. You know, I will hate on anybody. Find me an Eskimo. I will hate on a fucking Eskimo too. And ironically enough, then I finally did actually meet an Eskimo. One of my wife's family members is of, you know, I know Eskimo's not the preferred nomenclature for it anymore. Indigenous, Inuit, whatever tribe she was from, but, you know, she's from Alaska. And I couldn't hate on her because she was just the sweetest fucking woman on the planet. I mean, she was so nice and so just gentle and soft-spoken. I was like, you know, I always said if I ever met an Eskimo, I was going to hate on him just on general principle, and I can't fucking do it because you're just too goddamn nice. And, you know, that's just the way things work out sometimes. Sometimes you just meet somebody. I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll meet some northern native individual at some point, and I will get a chance to hate on them because they will be a general prick. And then I'm going to, call them a seal clubber or some goddamn thing. But until that happens, I guess, I'll just go through life sitting there living with my regret that I didn't get to be ignorant enough to, somebody, because when I finally got an opportunity, they just didn't fucking deserve it. Because that's really what it boils down to, and the way I look at the world is, I'm not going to hate you for shit you have no control over. I can't do it. I can't hate you if you're a decent person, regardless of what you look like, who you pray to, who you're married to, how you feel. If you're a decent human being and you treat other people with respect and dignity, I will reciprocate. The minute you start getting preachy or lectury or do anything in any way, shape, or form that makes me think you are deliberately embracing ignorance and you are being a sack of shit, I'm going to treat you like a sack of shit. If you're going to be petty and juvenile and mean-spirited when it's not appropriate. I mean, and I know that's one of those like, well, it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of subjective. How can you decide when being juvenile is appropriate? Now, I'm professional when I need to be professional. Pretty much 99% of the time, if it's not a serious moment, I'm not going to treat it seriously. I'm not going to go through life being all morose and fucking miserable because at some point I got old and that's what you're supposed to do after you reach a certain age. So a lot of my behaviors could be described as juvenile, but you know what? That's why I'm fucking happier than most people. I know it's hard to believe when you listen to these rants every week, but I'm actually a pretty content guy a lot of ways, I mean, yeah, I see a ton of things in the world that make me stressed out, that make me sad, that make me feel like the world's shitty. When I see entire cultures of people that lean into negative stereotypes and try and say that's because that's our culture, that's how things go, that's what we do. And every fucking culture's got them. White people, black people, brown people, yellow people, purple people. I don't fucking care. Every culture has negative stereotypes. Those negative stereotypes exist because there are people that personify those negative fucking stereotypes. The difference is, how do we deal with the negative people? Do we hold them accountable? Do we treat them like, hey, look, you're being a piece of shit? Don't try and say that's my culture. Just say, look, I can be better. I can do better. You know how I know? Because I know people of every single fucking culture on the planet at this point. I have met an example of every culture on the planet that is an exemplary, decent human fucking being. That's how I know. It's got nothing to do with race. It's got nothing to do with ethnicity. It's got nothing to do with creed, color, any fucking horseshit moniker that people want to attach a justification to for some sort of shitty behavior. None of it fucking matters. That's how it is at the end of the day. That's how the world should be. All of that shit you have no control over should be fucking irrelevant. You should be judged based on your behavior, based on your demeanor, based on how you treat other fucking people. You start acting like a piece of shit and then just say it's because of X, Y, and Z that are factors you have no control over. You are subsequently trying to alleviate yourself of any responsibility, of any accountability for your fucking actions. That's a weakness of character. That's a flaw. That makes you a piece of shit. I don't know how I got to this point of this conversation. This is really not where I saw this episode going today, but we're at 53 minutes, so I'm going to put a pin in it. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.